Hold it, Chief. I think you're fixing to raise the wrong hair.
I was trying to kill my dog.
I never even touched him.
Of course you didn't. Hey! Supper ready?
Ready and waiting.
Good.
Looks like it's about time I started learning this old pup to earn his keep.
Don't look like to me he's hardly big enough to learn nothing yet.
He's big enough to learn. He's big enough to act like Old Yeller.
Young Yeller is a puppy, a little old lop-eared puppy. It's plain to see he's got a family tree. The image of his pappy is frisky and he's happy, and that's how a good pup should be. Frisky and happy, dear Yeller, come back Yeller. Best doggone dog in the West. Dear Yeller, come back Yeller. Best doggone dog in the West. Best doggone dog in the West.
Hello, folks. I'm Fess Parker. You probably remember me best as Davy Crockett. But I'm also proud to have been a part of one of Disney's greatest live-action pictures, Old Yeller. Over the last 40 years, Old Yeller has proven to be an enduring family film, and now it's considered a true classic. Join me for a look behind the scenes of how this picture was made and why it's become so close to the hearts of millions of people over the years.
Dear Yeller, come back Yeller, best doggone dog in the West. Dear Yeller, come back Yeller, best doggone dog in the West.
Walt Disney was born in the American Midwest in the early part of this century. He grew up in Missouri, in country that was civilized enough to be modern, but young enough to remember its wild frontier days.
When I was a boy in Missouri, I liked to listen to old soldiers who'd fought in the Civil War. We had both Confederate and Union veterans in our town, and my loyalties would go from General Lee to General Grant and back again, depending upon which side told the most exciting tale.
Until the time of Old Yeller, Mr. Disney was known mainly as a producer of animated films. But in the early 1950s, he branched out into live-action filmmaking. At the same time, Mr. Disney was also pioneering the new medium of television. And he made it clear that the stories of America's history were going to be a staple of his television show.
Behind the gates of Frontierland is the inspirational America of the past century. Here is the treasure of our native folklore, the songs, tales, and legends of the big men who built the land. Now in our TV series from Frontierland, we're going to tell about these real people who became legend.
Many stories of both American history and folk legend became hit Disney TV programs. And by the way, Mr. Disney also made a little something called Davy Crockett. And that's where my relationship with Walt began.
Walt had started to build a kind of repertory company in the 50s, and it began on television. First with the huge success of Davy Crockett, which turned Fess Parker to an overnight star.
Born on a mountaintop in Tennessee, greenest state in the land of the free.
Davy Crockett was a sensation, but Mr. Disney didn't want me to stay stuck in that part. So he cast me in big screen pictures like The Great Locomotive Chase, where I played Union spy James J. Andrews, and in Westward Ho! The Wagons, I was cast as head scout of a wagon train, Doc Grayson. One of the things I quickly learned about Walt Disney was that he wouldn't even think about making a picture without a solid story. He felt he had that with Old Yeller.
Old Yeller took him into yet another phase of his filmmaking career. He wanted to make family entertainment. He wanted to touch people. He knew that animals, of course, were of universal appeal. And he wanted a story that had drama and heart.
Our motion picture, Old Yeller, was taken from this book by Fred Gibson, who based his story on the true tales his parents used to tell about frontier dogs. You know, there have been some great dog stories written, Call of the Wild, Bar Sinister, The Hound of Florence, to name only a few. But this Old Yeller, to our way of thinking, is one of the best of all time. This story is about the Coates family. The place is Texas. The time is the late 1860s. There were 4 in the family, not counting Jumper the mule and Rose, a balky old cow. And Fess Parker stars as the father.
When Old Yeller came along, it was pretty easy for me to see that Jim Coates was my kind of fella. Playing a proud Texan was easy for me since I'd grown up in West Texas. Matter of fact, Fred Gibson, the author of Old Yeller, lived near my folks in Mason County and knew my dad in San Angelo, Texas. As my own screen wife, Katie, Mr. Disney cast Dorothy McGuire.
When I first read the script, I realized that Katie would have to be played as a rather down-to-earth person. She's a woman who's learned to do without pretty clothes. And so when her husband brings her this store-bought dress all the way from Kansas, it's like having an evening gown from Paris. It's lovely.
I've been aching to see it on you.
Dorothy McGuire was not part of Disney's stock company. She was just a fine actress. He was so pleased with her work in this film that he hired her again, several times. She's the mom in Swiss Family Robinson, and she's the mom in Summer Magic.
And of course, no screen mother is credible without a believable relationship with good child actors. And Walt Disney made sure to provide that.
Alice, what all have you got in those pockets? Oh!
For the kids, Walt turned to the Mickey Mouse Club, where he'd been grooming a whole parade of talented young people.
Cut. All right, take a 5-minute break.
One of these talented kids was Tommy Kirk. Mr. Disney first used him in the Hardy Boys cereal on the Mickey Mouse Club.
I guess now it's a real mystery.
Based on his popularity in the role, Mr. Disney put Tom under contract and gave the 14-year-old the pivotal role of Travis Coates. Tom's career at the Disney studio would include 12 feature films over the next 8 years.
I knew then that this was something, it had dramatic power. You know, boy shooting a dog, it's murder. You know? And especially in a Disney film, nobody expects an animal to die. So, I mean, I was very much aware of the quality of the script.
A dog!
Like Tommy Kirk, Kevin Cochran won America's heart on the Mickey Mouse Club, playing Moochie on the further adventures of Spin and Marty.
For Pete's sake, we must have been going around in circles. You wouldn't be lost, would you, Chief?
Mr. Disney cast Kevin as Arliss Coates in Old Yeller. He also used Kevin again and again on television and in film.
Hi there, Mooch.
In more than a dozen projects over the next 10 years.
Kevin Corcoran and I were like brothers. He was a natural, you know. Maybe you don't even appreciate it at the time, how natural he was. It was so unstudied. But in reality, he was a very hard-working professional actor, and he was very bright, and he missed nothing. And he was everything admirable. He was conscientious, and he was 10 years old.
Listen, Kevin, as long as Yeller's here, maybe he could do some of his tricks for us.
Well, he might as well. He sure broke up my act.
But there was one important piece of casting left, that of the title character. For this, Mr. Disney relied on the description of Old Yeller contained in the beginning of Fred Gibson's book.
We called him Old Yeller. The name had a sort of double meaning. One part meant that his short hair was a dingy yellow, a color that we called yeller in those days. The other meant that when he opened his head, the sound he let out came closer to being a yell than a bark. I remember like yesterday how he strayed in out of nowhere to our log cabin on Birdsong Creek.
As Old Yeller, Mr. Disney cast a lop-eared mongrel named Spike. who was owned by Frank Weatherwax, whose family had also trained Lassie and dozens of other film and TV animals.
All right, Yeller, get her home.
The drama of the thing is I believe he came from the pound. The Spike was a pound dog who had been saved, you know, from gassing, I guess.
Spike was a smart and gentle co-star, and over the course of shooting, all of us took a shine to him. Although there was some question of Spike's ancestry, there was no question about his own screen appeal.
Lie down.
Very good.
Play dead.
With our human and animal cast complete, Mr. Disney assigned the Old Yeller production to director Robert Stevenson.
Robert Stevenson was a veteran director of British films. His credits go back to the 1930s. He's not a name that people cite very often as one of the great directors in American film, but if you look at his credits, you can't help but be impressed, because they range from Old Yeller to Mary Poppins.
Now we were ready to begin filming. Several rugged ranch locales in Southern California were chosen as locations that would evoke Texas of the late 1860s. The interiors were sets built on sound stages at the Disney Studio in Burbank. The most difficult parts of Old Yeller's production were the animal fights. These dangerous-looking scenes were supervised by the American Humane Association and carefully choreographed and edited for both high drama and the safety of the animal actors. Here's Disney's sound effects expert, Wayne Allwine, to explain how this illusion is created.
Hello, my name's Wayne Allwine, and I'm standing here on the sound effects stage at the Walt Disney Studios, visiting with some of my old sound friends. Did you know that a lot of the sequences you saw in Old Yeller, the outdoor action sequences, were filmed without sound being recorded? Why would this take place? Well, let's say, for instance, the bear and the dog fight. Well, number one, the bear and the dog aren't really fighting. They're really friendly animals and they get along. They're trained not to hurt each other. But on one side of the camera you have the bear's trainer, and on the other side of the camera you've got the dog's trainer, and they're both yelling instructions to their animals to get together and make it look good. Well, obviously this would all ruin the effect you were after in trying to create sound for this part of the film. So everything that you heard was recreated in post-production using these props that I have in front of me. The fire that was burning in the background, bamboo sticks, the donkey that ran across the farmyard, coconut hooves, the gate that gets thrown open, right here, a long group of old iron hinges. These were all effects and props that were used to create the action and excitement in the movie Old Yeller. Even the bear was fake. An old lamp chimney. Anyway, I hope you'll stick around and watch us as we recreate one of the sound effects sessions that were used in the filming of Old Yeller. See how you can take a scene that is shot silent and bring it to life using everyday props.
Shooting on Old Yeller progressed smoothly, and as usually happens on a movie set, hearty fellowship and a few pranks were common.
There were a lot of tarantulas around there. People did some awful things with dead tarantulas. They put them in people's lunch and dropped them down one guy's pants.
Finally, the most memorable dramatic scene in the whole film came along, and Tommy Kirk had the heartbreaking task of ending Yeller's suffering. He did a terrific job with a tough scene.
No, Mama.
There's no hope for him now, Travis. He's suffering. You know we've got to do it.
I know, Mama. He was my dog. I'll do it.
I just played it for real. You know, you got to throw away the rule book and not act. You know, you can't act truth. You have to be it. It has to come from the heart. And if something is phony baloney, it leaves you dry-eyed and cold as a stone. But if something is real, it can move you.
When it was released on Christmas Day 1957, the critical reaction to Old Yeller was overwhelming, with critics noting the appeal of the story, its important theme, and a new maturity to Walt Disney's live-action films. Old Yeller won dozens of awards, and Spike won the Patsy Award from the American Humane Association. In the end, Old Yeller's most important success was its popularity with audiences. The film was one of the top 5 hits of the year and has continued to be popular ever since.
It's hard to prepare someone for the emotional pull of Old Yeller who hasn't seen it before. You don't even have to be a dog lover to be moved by this story. Anybody who's lived through childhood can relate, and that means everybody, because it's about growing up, it's about learning hard lessons, it's about sacrifice, it's about love. It touches on the very essence of human emotion and does so beautifully. That's why you have to cry. And you have to get broken up watching this story because it is honest. It's not pushing your buttons. It's not a contrivance. It earns those tears.
Old Yeller will be played 1,000 years from now. And Dorothy and Fess and Kevin and I will be watched in theaters, I think, 1,000 years from now because of Walt Disney.
Even now, so many years later, and so many miles down the road, Old Yeller hasn't lost its ability to amuse, to entertain, to engross, and to touch the heart. I'm honored to be a part of a film that is now considered an enduring classic, and I hope you've enjoyed sharing some memories of it with me. So long.
Old Yeller was a fighter, a rootin' tootin' fighter. In any scrap he knew just what to do.